Call to order. According to the Open Public Meeting Act, this meeting of February 26, 2025 was published in the Bergen Record and Herald News on January 8, 2025 and sent to the Town. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apiche?
Here.
Committeewoman Artola?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Here.
Committeeman Chawinski? And Mayor Judge Covello.
Here. Could you read the motion, please?
Mayor Judge Covello asks for a motion to adopt resolution number 025-075, authorize an executive session.
May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apiche?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Chawinski absent. Mayor Judge Covello.
Yes. We will convene into closed session, and we should be back by 7 o'clock.
And we will be taking action.
And their action will be taken. Thank you. Okay, call to order. Motion to come out of closed session and go into open public session. May I have a motion and roll call, please?
I'll make a motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Committeewoman Apiche?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Chawinski?
Yes.
And Mayor Judge Covello.
Thank you. May we stand for Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming this evening. Do we have any correspondence, Michaela?
No.
None at this time. May I have approval of the agenda? May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second? Want to do roll call now?
Sure. Committeewoman Apiche?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Chawinski?
Yes.
And Mayor Judge Covello.
Yes, thank you. So we're going on to discussion, which is displaying flags on public property. Anybody like to start?
Yeah, sure. So we know this has been a topic of discussion for the last 6 years, maybe more. Commemorative flags specifically. Sometimes they've been raised, sometimes they've been denied, but consistently there's been outpouring support for commemorative flags to be raised. And as a representative democracy here, I think we should act on it. So therefore, the flag ordinance that's on the agenda tonight does the following. I'm just going to summarize here. It gives this governing body the option to display commemorative flags. It recognizes that flagpoles represent government speech. It says that a commemorative flag shall not be flown on the same flagpole as the flag of the United States. It also says a commemorative flag shall not be flown on the same flag. It also says there's only one flagpole in a designated township location, then commemorative flags cannot be raised there. And it details the flag of the United States shall be displayed at the highest positions. It provides clear procedures for raising commemorative flags, which must be supported by a majority to make it even on the agenda, and then a resolution must receive a majority vote as well. I believe that this flag ordinance addresses an issue where residents have seen the inconsistent handling of commemorative flags, sometimes raised, sometimes denied. This creates a fair and transparent process that everyone can understand and trust. It's found to be successful and popular in Sparta, New Jersey, where they've raised flags supporting their local law enforcement, their fire department, and recognizing individuals with disabilities. So I think this is just another great opportunity to celebrate our residents, bring our community together, and I look forward to voting yes on it tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Anybody else have discussion?
Mayor, if I can just add, the ordinance is consistent with the United States Supreme Court has addressed the issue of flag flying on public property, and the language in the ordinance is consistent with the United States Supreme Court opinion. So that's not to say someone couldn't challenge it, but if they did, they would be unsuccessful based upon the Supreme Court decision.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, so if we're going to use the flag of each month, well, are we picking and choosing which months, or how are we picking these flags?
That was another possibility, but that's not the ordinance that that was put together. The ordinance that we followed was the one in Sparta.
Did you get a chance to read the ordinance?
Not all of it, well, yes, but,
There was one
wanna take a
there
minute?
was another
Yeah.
one that suggested following the Library of Congress, but that would, if you went with
that's what
that.
I thought that we were going with, but
Yeah, no.
that's not.
It's
No.
different.
If
Yeah,
you,
take a-
if you went with that one, you would be limited to those flags, and you wouldn't have to fly the flag every month. You could only fly those flags.
That's what I was under the
This,
impression.
right, and that is the way that would read. This ordinance gives the governing body more discretion, and you're not limited to the Library of Congress flags.
So then how would it be chosen if we're not?
It would be based upon this township committee voting at a public meeting as to whether or not a certain flag should fly.
Under resolution.
Okay. So one of the things Committeeman Miller mentioned was consistency. I will be voting consistently as I have every year up here. I think, and I've explained this to the public before, putting it up, we've had residents who wanted, we had one resident donate Hispanic heritage. I think we have other heritages here. We definitely have other heritages here in this town. Why would we choose one over the other? I think it opens us up to too many, and I'm going to be consistent with just having the flags that we currently have, which is the American flag and the country flags that we have right now.
So if I can tell just my statement here is that if you read this whole thing through, you'd understand that even if somebody had asked for it, it would have to come in front of the township committee under a resolution, and the majority would vote yes or no. So it could be yes or no, whatever flag that'd be.
Right, which is what I'm
Versus
saying. I
presented.
don't want to get into the business of judging every flag that comes before us and picking and choosing.
That's your choice.
Yes, that is my choice,
Right.
but that's what I'm understanding that.
Are we limiting how long we're flying these flags?
I believe it's 30.
So, in the Sparta ordinance, well, actually not in the ordinance, but I know that Sparta has put up a flag for a day, for a week, for an entire month, totally depending on what they're commemorating.
And again, that would be up to the township committee then. You would then decide if the flag should fly and how long it should fly and on what public properties it should fly.
So we don't put that in this ordinance, we do
No,
it?
that's all
Through the
within your.
resolution.
Resolution.
Right, it would be in a resolution when a specific request came to this governing body.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, hearing and seeing none, let's move forward. Can I have committee reports? We will start with the administrator, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. The township's new tax maps have been approved by the State Division of Taxation. What that allows us to do now is move forward with the contract we've already signed with Appraisal Systems a few years ago. As you know, there was a delay with getting the tax maps digitized and done. So reevaluation completion date was extended by the County Taxation Board to 2026. I've already reached out to the contractor in regards to that, and we're going to set up some meetings and get the revaluation of the township scheduled. As we know, our tax assessor is retiring. We have, again, the 7 applications and resumes. Scheduling of interviews with my tax collector, CFO, and the outgoing tax assessor is ongoing, so we can have our chosen candidate for that, which I will bring before this committee for approval. The PSC&G Efficiency Grant Program. It may feel a little cool in here. That's because we have no heat right now, but the air conditioning and the heating units are being installed, if not tomorrow, by Friday. The Roche Park, the old EMS building and the firehouse were completed this week as well. Once that's done, that'll complete our efficiency program that we did through PSC&G. And what I'm hoping is, with the rising cost of electricity, as we see these high efficiency units will help provide a cost savings to the township. Just so everybody knows, it's in the parking lot. There are going to be some parking spots lost due to the crane that'll be here. And they did apply for the necessary crane permits. So there may be some difficulties finding a spot and getting through the lot at given times when the crane obviously is extended out over some of the driveway areas. So I just ask for your cooperation and patience, but should take no more than a few hours each day. Once that's done, we can finally look into having the roof replaced on this building. Been working hand in hand with Committeeman Travinsky here to my right, as well as with the DPW superintendent towards that regard to get the best possible solution to the roof replacement as far as that goes. The brick grant, the pump station update, as you can see on the agenda, the funding for this project is here. We have our bond ordinance on the agenda tonight. This came about after a phone conference with our Office of Emergency Management Rep, Sylvia Hastry and Roy Rigatano, our CFO. Sylvia also did a site visit this week to the proposed site. We continue to work with the design and electrical engineers at Boswell, as well as getting the New Jersey DEP permits have been applied for. And Boswell has forwarded all the documents for review by interested parties. So if anybody wants to see what those documents are, I believe it was a 200-foot list notice went out, but anybody can see them. They are in the custody of the deputy clerk, and you're available to come in and make an appointment to go review those documents. We also, as a side note, we still have some COA funds, approximately $600,000 as well, that we can use towards that project because, as stated by our professionals, this pump station will help for future development. So the affordable housing funds are available towards that project. As well as the $1.9 million that we're getting from FEMA. Back to the 22-23 open space grant, that's the improvements to Carlock Field. They are underway, as I shared 2 weeks ago. The shed has finally been removed. We were able to get PSE&G here, cut the power. Construction is underway to a new walkway, retaining wall, footings for the pavilion have also gone in. Excuse me. Delivery is expected in late March of the pavilion itself. Work on the synthetic bocce ball courts is also underway. We've been working with Dave Brown and the neighbor who has encroached upon a township property at that project. They're amenable to us removing their property as a new fence will be installed anyway. And, there's no objections there. Obviously, there shouldn't be because it's our property. And just as a reminder, Mayor, that's 2 open space grants that we combined that'll help offset the debt issued for that project once it's completed. Open Space 2025 grant, spoke to, yesterday and today with Ken DeGennaro of Colliers Engineering. We're going to help, they will help us with the letter of intent and then applying for that open space grant. Again, looking back to Carlock Field, for those that don't remember, we're currently, for the 2024 funding, we got funding approved for Matthews Field, and that project will go out to bid soon. Ken will be here on March 6th. Dave Brown and I actually confirmed that about 4:30 today. And we'll do a walkthrough with Colliers, go over some of the issues. Excuse me. And again, I put it out to this committee, and I know I've had conversations with Committeewoman Apice about it. Anything you think we could do to make improvements down at Carlock, I'm thinking along the lines, again, we have the subsurface of the playgrounds has been in horrific shape. They're not cheap. If we can get it covered by some grant money, that would be great. Maybe a scoreboard or two. Some of the fencing and some of the retaining walls, continuing some of the progress that we've seen is what my initial plans are. But right now, we're open to anything. It's really getting the letter of intent and the application started. Moving on to Howard Avenue, for those of you that live down there, work has begun on some punch list items as well as the remaining work. There was about 17% of the work that had to be completed. Most of it has to do with the sewer system and storm drains, as well as some curbs and sidewalks. That's almost to completion. Also in the process of preparing the bid documents to have that roadway paved from Patton Court to James Street, curb to curb. Currently working on the CFO on a bond ordinance for the remaining area and remaining street and road projects, which will include the remainder of Howard Avenue, which we got a CDBG grant, and that'll go from Patton Court to Harvey Avenue. Also, as well as we received a grant from the DOT in regards to Berdan Street. That project comes in at a high number due to some stormwater issues. Dave Brown and I have been talking. We may tweak that a little bit and kind of try to keep it to just milling and paving. The stormwater issues, it's just a matter of dealing with it during the flood. We don't want to run into the same situation we did on Howard Avenue where we make promises of putting larger diameter pipe in it. It just won't work. There is a small area that runs from the parking lot here, from Berdan Street under the parking lot towards Sprout Brook. We've cambered it. We've sent that footage to Boswell as well for their review. And again, this was a project they had started work on, and that's why they're remaining on it. Harvey Avenue, not completed there yet. Triangles, slow, and 25 mph will be applied to the pavement soon against an attempt to help mitigate some speeding issues that we have there, or the perceived speeding issues. As this committee knows, we had a meeting with 201 West Passaic Street. The ownership, they provided a certified arborist report. There's 9 dangerous/hazardous trees that they're going to be removing. And again, this was working with our residents in the area complaining about it, and they agree as property owners, and they know they'll take those down. So working with them on getting that done sooner than later. Senior citizen upgrades, the center. Yes, we had bonded last year to give that a similar makeover as we've done down at Houghton Hall. The difficulty is getting the flooring materials. Matt may correct me, but I know we have to strip the current floor and the current molding. So rather than paint and risk the ripping off of the molding and then shredding the sheetrock after it's been painted, I told Dave Brown to hold off on all work until the floor is in, and then we can make the necessary painting. But either way, we can't get the flooring materials. We're looking at mid-March, if not the end of March, so probably early April that will begin. We also I've upgraded, we asked for a lavalier microphone and receiver. That's slated to be installed on March 19th. And I think that's all I have at this point, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So this is great news, the bond we have on this agenda, and we should be having, from what I'm understanding, and being in a meeting with myself and Mr. Chwinsky as well, with Mr. Rigatano, Sylvia, and you, we did talk about hopefully having this pump station at least started, hopefully getting closer to completion this year, because the cost has gone up tremendously from when it was first.
Yeah, we are moving towards that end. You know, there's several, again, there'll be some more site inspections that have to be done, but the permits have been applied for. I received the bill the other day via an email, so those $7,000 permits from the DEP just have to be paid for. So once we have those, then there's really nothing holding up the work. It's just going to be, you know, progression.
That's great. Also, there's, quite a few grants here now, the 2025 Open Space Grant. I know that you spoke to Ms. Piche about it, and if anybody else has any ideas, if you could just reach out to Mr. Pinto. I know I spoke to you about the fence, that might be extending of a fence a little bit longer. Reach out and see if you have anything, take a walk down there and see if you see anything that you think.
And that goes for members of the public. If there's something in mind you'd like to see improvements made, please send it my way.
Thank you so much. Okay. Mr. Chwinsky, any report?
Hello, everybody. Just to piggyback on what Administrator Pinto had mentioned, we had collaborated and spoke a bit on the roofs and some other options that may be available to us that he was unaware of, and I made a few phone calls, and we're looking into them, and then pass over the information to the township, and hopefully it'll work out. I was met with somebody today on behalf of the town to provide information. They'll get to us next week with the information, see what it comes through as. With regards to, there was someone in town, I don't know if he's here tonight, but there was a resident in town that was mentioning that the salt spreaders, I know Dave's not here, but salt spreaders apparently in one of the last storms were set a little high. And people were complaining that the salt was reaching up on their sidewalks and on their driveways, and they were a little concerned about, I guess, getting their sidewalks damaged. But it was addressed apparently, and the DPW knows about it, just so for the communication to everyone that they are aware of it. They were aware of it when it happened. They couldn't go around and sweep everybody's sidewalk up, but they basically adjusted everything they had to, and apparently they're aware of it, and they'll be more cognizant of it next time. Dave did say, please call down to the DPW anytime, and he'll be happy to explain any further. With regards to the generator on the plant, I was hopeful and looking into trying to put my eyes on it from my engineering background and to see if we can get the ear of Boswell Engineering to see if they would consider using the generator that we have already. They said it's a 20-year-old generator. It does not put out three-phase electricity, which we need for the new design. So that generator that we do have would not be suitable for what we need, but I'm hoping that we can repurpose it or use it or sell it and collect some of that money, put it back into, because it still is a usable generator. Even if it's 20 years old, maybe 2 months of standard straight use on a diesel generator is nothing. To me, it's a pristine generator. To me, it is. I also wanted to mention, I was asked to, and I did, and I'll put my eyes on whatever I can, whatever I'm asked to. I went down to the fire department to look at the glass door issue on the front of the fire department, met with Dave, and there is an isolated settling problem on the front door, but it seems to be isolated to just the front door, thank goodness, and not to the foundation and the slab interior to that. So my what I offered and my suggestion was to get a glass company to loosen up the frame from the block instead of it dragging it down, and to basically raise it back up on the one side and fill the underside with 1 inch of concrete or cement, hand mix it, and as a temporary short-term fix, that'll be fine, but if it continues to happen, I have to address the settlement with some ground stabilization. I have to either bust it open or inject some stabilizer underneath it. I also wanted to mention, I did mention this to Dean, there was another business in town that was celebrating their 25 years not that long ago. Happened to get my hair cut there. That's why it's personal to me. I get people, they say, well, you get a haircut there. You get a haircut here, you didn't come to the celebration. They celebrated 25 years of cutting loose. And I mentioned to Dean, from a community perspective, obviously any businesses that are in town that have been 25 years and are part of the community, it would be nice to recognize them. So I'm hoping that we can go over there and surprise them with a visit and maybe get them recognized in the paper. Let's see. I'm going to just mention a couple things with regards to the school board, but I do see that we have the school board president here tonight, I believe, who would like to share some time and speak and bring us up to speed. Thank you. Last meeting, I didn't get a chance to recognize or pass on the recognition from the school to our administrator and to the police department for backing up the failed issue of the program that notifies everyone from the school side when there's snow or when there's a school closing. That system failed. That's out of our control, was out of everybody's control, but the police department, the administrator stepped in, and the superintendent wanted to make sure, and the school board wanted to make sure that they were recognized for their efforts and collaboration to quickly jump in and help get that notification out to all that needed it. So it was pretty seamless in the wake of what could have been a disaster.
Thank you.
So offer that recognition to you, Dean, and the police department. I also wanted to recognize that I know I mentioned it once when I was sworn in, but Mr. Joe DeFalco had become part of the Board of Education. He became a trustee and filled the position when I had left. He was voted on, and also I wanted to congratulate Michelle Ballack and Michelle Jacobs for also joining the Board of Education, and for the remaining members, Joe Marolda, Elaine Renone, and Scott Crowell, President Scott Crowell now. I think they're doing a great job over there. I'm in contact with them, even though I'm not always as visual there. I speak to all of them. And
I believe you forgot Christina Holtz.
And Christina Holtz, I'm sorry. And Vice President Christina Holtz. I apologize. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The administration also, they had, in their last monthly, not this past meeting, but the prior meeting, had recognized all their academic achievements and the students and all. And again, it's always a nice time for us to see that when I was on the school board. Okay. I think that pretty much summarized up everything, other than I know that the school board, and this is something that I had mentioned, and it was something that I wanted to mention again and remind everybody. There is I think we're remiss by not meeting with the school board as a entity. I think the town council and the school board need to meet. We used to do it years ago. We need to get back to that. We need to get back to shared services and the shared service agreement. Maybe even set up a committee with a couple of people from here that meet with a couple of people there regularly. I think that's a dire need, especially in a small town like ours, what we can do to work together and bring us closer together. I think we have a lot of great...
If I may, Mayor. So
Yes, please.
Dr. DeNobili and I have had that exact conversation probably the last year and a half, saying that it's time to memorialize all the handwritten, or handshake agreements that have existed. And it's just for the betterment of both entities, the use of fields, the maintenance of the monument, who's paying electric at the monuments, who puts salt down, and maybe there's even more shared services that we have, the SRO position, excuse me. So, yeah, I'd look forward, I think that would be very helpful. And again, the more minds, the better.
Okay.
Done?
Can I,
Go
would it be
ahead.
I think it would be appropriate, it would be a good time to have the school board president say
Oh,
a few
let's
words.
finish our committee reports, and then when I
Well, it's
open,
part of the report, that's why I would say.
when I open to the public. Thank you. Ms. Sartolo?
Yes. So since my last report, I have had 2 additional meetings with the tabletop exercise planning team. A tabletop, the purpose of it is to test our capabilities in responding to and managing a complex incident and evaluate the effectiveness of our responses to the multiple departments and groups within the township. Last year's incident was an earthquake with a bridge collapse. We have picked an incident for this year's exercise. We are sworn to secrecy, but I will say, last year Michaela suggested the earthquake, and days later we actually had one. So she has banned herself from suggesting one this year in fear of making it happen. So she's turning red right now. So we are having fun in our planning meeting. I see Pete here. I see a couple of others here who are part of our planning team. So I'd like to thank the members of the OEM, police, CERT, fire department, and fire prevention for the work they are doing to prepare for this year's exercise. For the court report, the January report is as follows: traffic 557, criminal 26, for a total of $16,883.90. This is the highest traffic number in the last 25 months. We thank the court colleagues and the police for their hard work this month. Their efforts are evident in the number increases.
I'm sorry, 1 second. I have a cough drop. Do you need a cough drop, Ms. Houghton? Sure? Okay. You have water there? Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No worries. I attended the flood mitigation assistance meetings for residents. The purpose of this meeting is to educate residents about the FEMA grant that the township can apply for the elevation of repetitive loss homes. Our consultant from Tetra Tech gave the presentation, and our administrator, Dean, was there to answer questions. Thank you, Dean, for your guidance to the residents. And if anyone knows anyone who would be interested in getting their house raised, please have them call Mr. Pinto to learn if they qualify. I volunteered with the CERT team to help with the rabies clinic. We had about 30 of our furry residents attend. Special thanks to Amory, who trained our CERT team with the documentation and who organized the day. Thank you to Dr. Buchholz of Maywood Veterinary Clinic for administering the shots. Also, thank you to our fire department who directed our residents when they arrived. It wasn't just the pets who provided the warm fuzzies. There was a child who wanted to see the fire trucks, and it warmed my heart to see our fire department give him a special tour. Thanks, Pete, for doing that. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Boucher?
Thank you. Good evening. For recreation basketball is still going on. Championship games are scheduled for March 21st, so please show your support and go out and cheer their teams on at Midland School. Rochelle Park baseball registration is open and will be closing on March 15th. Don't miss up on signing up. Look on Recreation social media page for the registration link. Anyone interested in coaching, please reach out to Recreation. Anyone interested in sponsoring a team, please also reach out to Recreation. Opening day for baseball is set for April 5th at Matthews Field. And we also ask that while Carlock Field is undergoing the updates, to please refrain from having your children climb on the equipment and material to ensure their safety. The parade committee held their first meeting on January 27th. They picked their officers and discussed and delegated different tasks for the Memorial Day parade, and tomorrow is their next meeting at the post. For the veterans, American Legion Auxiliary will be hosting their St. Patrick's Day dinner dance on March 8th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Tickets are $40. Tickets can be purchased at the post or to contact Ardell. Squadron 170 will be hosting a beefsteak, which proceeds are going to help Billy Preff on Friday, March 21st from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Tickets are $55. Please email post170rochellepark@gmail.com for more information. Scout American Troop 114 is hosting their spaghetti dinner and tricky tray on March 22nd. The first seating is from 2:30 to 4 p.m. Second seating is from 4:30 to 6 p.m. Advance tickets are $10 for adults, $5 for kids. To purchase tickets the day of the event, prices are $12 for adults and $6 for kids. Summer concert, I spoke with Jay Kowalczyk, who's looking to firm up the commitment from Park Avenue in March, and then we're going to work on setting the date the bands, and then reserving the school.
Okay,
So we're underway with that.
great.
Okay. Building department, for the month of January, there were 25 permits issued, 44 UCC inspections completed. Total value of construction, $495,534. Permit fees collected, $8,553. UCC penalty fees, $6,500. Permit fees waived, $872. Zoning permits, $685. 4 zoning inspections, 11 zoning applications, 1 zoning violation. Continuing certificate of occupancies, $850. Lead inspection fee, $200. 4 property maintenance violations issued, 97 complaints, 16 inspections, and the total month for fees collected is $16,788. That's it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Exciting news for the Rochelle Park Library. The library will now be open on Sundays from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. beginning March 2nd. Tonight is an exciting night for Access for All. Last year, Access for All was finally given a budget, and tonight on the agenda is the Access for All Advisory Board ordinance. This will formalize Access for All and support the township in developing educational initiatives and promoting accessibility throughout the community. Congratulations to Chairman Walter Houghton and the Access for All Committee. We're looking forward to the continued transformative work that Access for All will bring to our community. If you're interested in volunteering and being a member on the Access for All Advisory Board, please submit a volunteer form to the mayor and the township clerk. The Shade Tree Committee met in January to discuss the Rutgers Core training that our Shade Tree volunteers will be participating in. We also discussed plans for Arbor Day, which will be on April 25th. The group of Shade Tree volunteers will be planning a formal tree planting celebration, and I will provide more updates on that in the weeks ahead, and that is all from me.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Okay, my items really come short and sweet. The seniors are having their meeting tomorrow at 1 p.m. The theme of it is then and now, and if any senior would like to bring a picture of themselves then and now, they want to see how the comparison is and just show others. Due to the increase in numbers that we have in the ordinance for recreation, we now have 2 extra spots there. Thank you to the committee for doing that. And was able to talk to a few of them and like to appoint Victoria Rancière and Sarah Schultz. They will be taking, I believe it's the 4th of March 4th. That'll be at their first meeting. Again, thank you to all the volunteers that are participating and doing everything that they can for our town. We really appreciate our volunteers. I was also in the meeting with Tetra Tech, and I got a chance to hear about the house raising, and it was very interesting. And again, thank you, Mr. Pinto, Mr. Donatello. The input was terrific, and the turnout was pretty good too. I was surprised how many.
And if I can, Mayor, we've actually received about 3 different homeowners that weren't able to attend the meeting, have reached out. One, as late as today, Lisa approached Lisa in the building department. She came in and we gave her the entire packet, and she walked it back to the residents. So it's not too late. If there's any interest, if you're suffered a repetitive loss and you have NFIP insurance and have maintained it, you'd probably be eligible. So please come and see Michaela or myself, and we'll get you the packet.
There were some stipulations that were in that, and you mentioned the insurance was one of them, and a couple others that were mentioned, but I believe that people would be willing to look at, if a possibility of going forward with it, they could get some funding for it, if not all the funding. I know it was percentage that they were talking about, but it was a very interesting meeting. And what else do I have? Okay. There was a question that somebody had asked about the police department. Let me just get to that. During the month of January, the police team answered 1,704 calls of service. There was, there was a high number of motor vehicle stops, and that was 335, 10 arrests, 15 criminal charges, 681 summonses issued. In January, the members of the Rochelle Park Police Department could be involved in the community and participate in an outreach program by attending numerous Rochelle Park Recreation basketball games. I know it was a lot of fun for the children also.
They do appreciate it.
They did, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Our Detective Bureau is currently continuing several investigations with the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office, including the continuing investigation of the shooting of a vehicle that took place on Marion Avenue and an arson of a stolen vehicle that was left at Windsor's Court apartment property on Rochelle Avenue, as well as other severe high-profile fraud cases. There's a lot of facets to this job, and Officer Salvita is completing his mandatory monthly regional SWAT training, and newly sworn Sergeant Ryan Burke is attending a high-performance leadership class. Also, just a little thing that our new officer, Paul, I'm going to say his name, Hammersma.
Perfect.
Is continuing his field training, and his feedback has been consistently positive. And there was a question about, I know somebody had a question about call for service and what does that mean? And the question that I asked the police chief at the time, it says anytime an officer is out to answer a call, a police call is considered a call for service. So I think that's all I have at this point. Anybody else have anything else? No?
If I may just switch hats, Mayor, Gail had mentioned the amount of summonses, and you just repeated a number. A result of that higher number is a direct result of the full-time traffic officer. Officer Starling has been out there writing a lot of summonses, so it's helping, and obviously, we can't be concerned with revenue as far as the police department goes, but that's all going to play out as we see in the court numbers as well. The high-profile fraud case you mentioned, it's come to a resolution. Officer McCune actually charged the defendants as of today, so I won't go into more details, but these things are progressing, and we expect arrests with those two other cases that you mentioned in the coming weeks.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
I'd like to also mention,
I did actually, I'm sorry, but please, I know exactly where you're going. I meant to mention that as well.
I was contacted by a senior citizen in the community last couple of days, and they were asking me, it started out with what seemed like a contractor call, like they needed help with a roof. And after listening to them and talking to them, they were being scammed by somebody. And what happened was a pickup truck had asked people riding in an unmarked pickup truck, supposed to be contractors, asked if they could park in front of this woman's house. They parked there, and then later came back because they said they had to work down the block and they needed a delivery. And they came back and they thanked the woman, and they said, "Oh, you know what? For being such a nice person, we're going to clean your gutters for free." And that's where it started. And after listening to the whole conversation, I realized she's very lucky because her neighbors came out and she was in the back, and they wanted her to enter the house with these two gentlemen, and I don't know what could have happened. Hearing it before I got off the phone with her, and as I'm trying to reach to the speed dial to call Dean, I sat there and I said, "Oh my God," I said, "this is happening." I turn and I make the phone call, and 2 seconds later, here comes a black pickup truck down my street. And I watched them go from one neighbor's house, watched them go to another neighbor's house, and I said, "That's it." I called the police. I went outside. Police came down. They stopped the. And that might have been two unrelated incidents, but people coming around soliciting and with unmarked vehicles on their trucks have no business being at anybody's doorstep, leaving door hangers unless they're registered, or even that. Their business name should be on the side of the truck with a name and a phone number. And if it's not, don't open the door. And make sure the word gets out. And I was hoping that we could get it to the senior center, get it to their next meeting, to Mr. Casimir, make an announcement, let people, remind people of this, what's going on. And from that, I'll turn it over to
And thank you, Matt. It's exactly where I wanted to go as the mayor was speaking. That's definitely a potential fraud case. That the first part, they're known as traveling gypsies, and what they do is they will try to befriend that senior or elderly resident and get them confident enough to stay with the one person outside while the other one goes in and basically raids the bedroom and steals money, jewelry, whatever they can get. So kudos to, and that resident did come in later yesterday to make their own report, the call for service. Please send money to nobody and trust nobody. I hate to say it, but call us, 201-843-1515. Call us as it's happening. Say, "Oh, excuse me, I hear my phone." Pick up your cell phone, call, and say, "I have people here," whatever it is. We'd rather send an officer for what amounted to be another event, it was just soliciting without a permit. It wasn't going to be thefts, but those two gentlemen that Mr. Truinsky saw were actually in violating a town ordinance, so they were appropriately, issued the warning and summonses. So yeah, please, there is a high rate of fraud attempts on seniors. You should never send anybody anything. Don't send anybody anything, not even somebody that calls to pretend to be a family member. Call us first, we'll vet it. We had that high-profile fraud case, the resident lose $70,000, thought they were helping a nephew who apparently got arrested overseas. We don't even collect bail here in New Jersey anymore. There's no such thing as bail. So if somebody calls you and says, oh, you need to bail out your family member, not true. So again, thanks, Matt, for bringing that up and reminding me, and thanks for the opportunity to share this at this meeting.
So Dean, if I may.
So, and,
Yep.
yes, to your point, Mayor, I know, we prepared a packet, fraud packet, and I know there's several sitting on the table over there in the senior center. I will print more copies as well for tomorrow. And if I can't be in there, I have several meetings with, several FEMA meetings as well as others. I will have an officer go there and remind the seniors of what the message I just gave.
That's great. One question maybe the public might want to also ask is, are the police notified when someone is out soliciting?
So there is a requirement here in the town, they need to obtain a permit. They need to come to us, we do a full background check, which is why they don't come to us, because it could take several weeks for their backgrounds to come back. So they'll go out and they'll take their risks. Don't not call us, and especially, I've had people email me 2 days later, but I have a no-knock, and they still came to my house. I'm like, you're telling me 2 days later I can't really help you? Call us as it's happening. That's why I say don't wait for these meetings to bring this to our attention. So call, again, if not 911, 201-843-1515, we will get an officer out there and vet the situation.
Right. And I know there's a lot of solar people that come around quite a bit.
I can tell you as of right now, we have no outstanding allowable vendors to go door to door. Nobody's coming for, so if that happens, definitely call us.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much. Everybody good? Everybody all set? Okay, let's move forward then. Any new business? No? Great. Can I have a motion to open public portion?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second? Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici,
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky,
Yes.
and Mayor Judge Covello.
Yes. Okay, it's open to the public. Anybody like to come forward and speak?
Okay, if, again, public comment is limited to 3 minutes. Please state your name and the town in which you reside. To the extent that any comments or questions you have can be responded to, either the mayor or someone designated by the mayor will respond to your comments or questions. And just to point out, there are 5 ordinances on tonight's agenda for introduction. There will be public hearings on those ordinances at the meeting of March 12th. So you can have questions and comments at that meeting with respect to those ordinances during the public hearing for each of those.
Thank you.
Andrew Matson, 14 Eldorado Court, Rochelle Park. I just want to say I appreciate the committee voting on the Access for All. I know there's a lot of politics around DEI, but what you don't realize is accessibility is part of DEI, so it's great that we're not going to turn our back on that just because Washington is. Part of the access is I got back surgery the other day, so walking, it needs to be like a flat ground. And I walk here and I see there's sidewalks on both sides of the street with cars always blocking the sidewalks. And you don't have that flat ground on the road because it's crowned. So you're kind of like, what do I do here now? You're almost trapped. And it sucks because we choose to put 2 sidewalks, one on each side of the street to make things more safe. And then you do that, you can't even use the sidewalk. And then it stops us from planting a tree because the sidewalk is there. So it's really like silly. So maybe if we're giving tickets, I know that was, and it's during the daytime, not just after, 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. And I really like to thank the committee and most importantly, Diane and Chris Sheridan for opening the library back on Sundays. I think it's very important. There's a lot of people that work Monday through Friday, maybe Saturday, and that Sunday is the only day. Maybe they don't have a computer at home. Maybe they don't have like a library in their house and you have kids and you want to go to the library. So it's great that that's going to be an option. I really thank the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry? Oh, okay. Chief, I believe that I know at one time parking over the sidewalk, it was presented, I'm going back a few years that I can remember, and I think it was correct me if I'm wrong, it was something like 10, after 10 at night till, it was kind of a given, but I don't think it ever went through. Can you,
So there was provisions made, previous chiefs, and I continued it, but I just made a note. I have a full-time traffic officer who works 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If there's vehicles blocking the driveway during daylight hours, there's no need for it, or blocking the sidewalk. At that point, we extend the courtesy, like you said, for at night. We understand residents, and we've had the driveway discussion. We had James DeMaria here. We still have to probably continue that discussion, and maybe allowing a little more expansion of driveways. The world's changed. I grew up, mom and dad had a car. That was it. Well, it wasn't there long after. Now we have your older brother, you, and then my younger brother had a car. Now we had 5 cars. We were fortunate. We had a long enough driveway. So it's not like the 40s when just dad had a car and mom would share a car. So we need to revisit that. But in the meantime, I made a note, and I will actually going to put it. We have a running board of assignments for our traffic officer, and that's going to be one. I'm going to tell them to go out. We'll probably start with warnings. Let residents know that we're paying attention to it. And, when they call me to complain that they got a summons, I'm going to say, well, you're forcing people possibly with handicap to have to not, or push a child in a stroller into harm's way in the street. So I get it, and that's how I'm going to handle it, if that's my goal.
Also, just on my street, where Crescent is, before it turns into Eldorado, that turn that's there, sometimes you do have cars parked on both sides of the street and the car hanging out the driveway. And I've watched from my house where a mom with the stroller has to go from the sidewalk into the street, and you can't see that car coming down the hill. And you think, oh my God, it's just a matter of...
oh my gosh.
Fair enough, and it'll be addressed. Thank you.
I think that, and I can tell you where I live, I can see it a lot, and unfortunately, you can park in front of your house during the day. There's not a lot of cars all the time in front of houses, but with that being said, I have seen many times, because I'm right by a park entrance, these moms are pushing carriages.
I agree wholeheartedly.
And I've seen wheelchairs have to go out into the street and come back. I get it when it's snow covered and there's different things and obstacles, but, this is during the day. So unless we do something, in my opinion, to say, you can't do this before 10 o'clock at night or something to that fact, we're going to have to correct this.
Yeah, we already have an ordinance that prohibits blocking the sidewalk, so we'll take it from there.
I don't know if there's a time on it, though.
No, but again,
I don't think any time is a good time, but if we have to accommodate, which we do, because I grew up in this town, and I know some people have super long driveways, some people have wider driveways.
Yep.
But maybe we can look into.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Warren.
Hi, everyone. Michael Warren, 181 West Older Street. I have 2 items. One is for a Shade Tree Committee. Today, we had a meeting today during the same time you guys are having yours. Big component of our meeting is talking about, how do we get our message out to the community to educate them about the Shade Tree Commission. I've been sharing posts on social media from my own personal account. They've been taken down on some of the residents' pages, and I guess for political reasons, someone is claiming. So we were wondering if there's a possibility that we could have a Shade Tree Committee or Commission Facebook page like Glen Rock does or Westwood, so we can post videos about the things that we're doing, to post information about tree-related items. This way they're not taken down by people who run some of the pages in town because they're angry or they're mad or whatever the case is. And I hope that people associated with that page understand that they're hurting the residents when they take down those pages, or take down that information about the Shade Tree Commission. Secondly, Team Rochelle Park has been talking to some parents in town about how do we reduce the amount of cars on the road during morning drop-off for schools. I made a video about it. Got a lot of responses. There's an organization called EasyRide.org that could partner with us and the township to maybe start a walking program to school, a biking program. And I know, Dean, the police do the bike helmet safety stuff, so definitely want to.
Easy Ride,
yeah, exactly, yeah. So, I'm kind of contemplating trying to see if any parents want to get together to organize something, and maybe we can reduce the amount of cars on that morning commute to try to get more parents and their children walking or biking if possible, or carpooling, to be honest with you. This way, it's a win for everybody. So I guess, Dean, I'll contact you when I speak to someone from Easy Ride, and maybe we can get something together.
Absolutely. And if I may, through the chair, Mayor, if I may.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, Mr. Warren, as a child who grew up in town, I walked to school.
Yeah, me too. I walked to school.
And so, I don't see why we wouldn't want to partner on something like that. We have the board president here, I think collaboratively, again, with the Board of Ed, I think we'd get a message out and get a program together.
I know him.
And he's a young man when I met him.
He's still young.
He is.
Yes.
So, please reach out and with Lieutenant
see what I can do.
Kukowski. And by the way, I brought it up, I don't know if you were at last meeting, but Lieutenant Kukowski's applying for a Safe Routes to School grant
Yes.
so we're waiting for that.
I think we have like a silver rating or something like that.
We got up to gold.
Gold, nice.
So
Oh, fantastic.
we're trying to move ahead.
Beautiful. All right, thank you. But just let me know about the page if possible.
I'm going to let you know right now. So speaking with council, did you want a Facebook page, or, because we already have Mr. Miller, who does our social media, if you want to give him the information and he can put it.
So the second reading for the Shade Tree Commission is going to be at the March 12th meeting. So maybe that same meeting or the meeting after, we could have a resolution for a Shade Tree Commission Facebook page.
It's up to you.
Facebook page, but if they want just to get out to educational wise for the community.
Well, you know.
But yeah, I can, also, it
Yeah.
could also be up on the Township.
That's
Rochelle
fine.
Park's
I figure
Facebook page
as
well.
many outlets as possible would be great. I mean, I know a lot of the community pages, a lot of the volunteer groups have it, Rec has it, CERT has it, et cetera. So
I welcome the help, and actually, there's some pages out
Yes,
there
I know.
that represent to be Township that are not, and that's a problem, and I'm sure Mr. Scatino will agree with me, because every item posted cannot be deleted. And if we're going to
Correct.
delete it, as long as it's archived. We
Correct.
actually pay Archive Social. They changed their name now. It's a new corporation.
Right.
It's an additional expense to the Township, but to not, risk ourselves in litigation, I would prefer it all goes through the Township page.
Yes, that's the issue with Facebook pages.
Mhm.
First of all, not all comments may be positive, and
Correct.
they may not even deal with the shade trees.
Correct.
But you have
Yes.
to allow all the comments to go on the Facebook page.
Yes.
And again, they have to be archived. So
As long as
can be done,
as long as there's a
but our
method
concern,
of distribution,
and
I'm fine with.
maybe you
Yeah.
have better off dealing through the website.
The Township of Rochelle Park Facebook page or the Rochelle Park website.
Yes. Is
Correct.
that being redone at all?
I hope so.
The town website? Okay, great.
That's something I'd like to bring up
Well,
at a
Mr. Miller, you are our liaison, and you
Yeah.
were at the meeting tonight, but at our next meeting, we'll talk about that further. But as long as there's an outlet, that doesn't matter how it is, but if you guys would consider that, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Michael. Anyone else?
And if I may, I'm sorry, because my mind works in mysterious ways, but please, through the chair, we're taking ideas on what we could send out with the next tax notices. So maybe something in the newsletter pointing people towards sooner than later. So, yeah, I'll talk to Kathy Sarici. We have several ideas that we want to put in, but we'll just add a newsletter and give you a paragraph or so.
I emailed you something tonight, Dean, so if you want to respond back with any dates for that, this way we can prepare something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ed Kaniski, 6 Lincoln Avenue, Rochelle Park. I have a question. Tell me if this is the wrong time, but I have a concern, and I'd like public discussion on one of the so-called routine and non-controversial resolutions, 25081. Is this the right time to request that go for public discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The second question I would have is, will there be any discussion on that motion? Anything additional once you open it up, or is this the right time to raise all my comments?
No, this is the time to make your comments. The resolutions do not get open to the public separately, only ordinances do.
Okay, so can I make my comments now?
Sure.
All right, I would like to see that resolution pulled for separate discussion for the following reason. There's a substantial amount of payments of bills recited, close to $1 million worth, and it says specifically in there, see attached backup. What was filed on the township website has no attached backup. Therefore, the residents have no idea what's being approved or not approved. I think that should be published, and I think there should be a decision on that, or discussion on that.
Payment of bills?
The second thing I'm going to do, it's just going to be quick because I only got 3 minutes. I would also like, since I don't know I don't know what's in that, and the residents don't know what's in that pod of things. I would like to specifically request that the following items be specifically discussed. There are approximately 17 items in your resolutions 25028 to 045. Those involve things like professionals, township attorney, bond counsel, flood manager, condemnation counsel, et cetera. If you recall those, all of those resolutions specifically said that there would be documents that were, quote, attached and made a part hereto. I went through all 17 of those documents. I could find no attachments. Therefore, you voted for resolutions which had nothing attached to them, and I would question about how you can intelligently vote on the bills for those things until that's clarified. I'll give you 4 reasons. Again, I hope I'm in with 3 minutes. 4 reasons why you want to have documents attached to your resolutions is, 1, specifically, your resolutions all specifically said that there would be professional contracts or fee arrangements attached. None were attached. Second, it helps inform the taxpayers as to what's being agreed to. Third, it helps you make intelligent decisions. You need to look at the documents to make a decision. And fourth, it prevents fraud or mistake in that we don't know what's attached, and we don't know if something gets attached subsequent to the meeting, whether that was the original document or not. So those are my comments. I'd like to see the bills discussed, and I would like to see those 17 specific categories reviewed. Thank you.
Okay. Which I suggest?
Yes.
Mr. Kunansky?
So a couple of comments. First, when a municipality, and by the way, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, other than to say that when a municipality does an annual notice, in fact, there was a court case a few years ago where a citizen complained that the municipality was not attaching some of the items like you mentioned, but all items that the agenda referred to. And even though at the trial court level, the judge agreed and said that the municipality should produce all the documents, even if it was hundreds of pages, which could be quite voluminous because then you have to make it available to everybody at a public meeting, the appellate division said, no, that's not necessary. That all that needs to be legally supplied is the actual agenda listing the titles of what's going to be voted on. In terms of the attachments, you do, a resident does have the ability, they're all public documents, to open them. As to whether the members of the governing body have those documents, yes, they do. They even though it may not have been attached to the agenda, that doesn't mean they didn't receive them and they didn't review them. As to the professional contracts, all the professional contracts set forth what the fees are, whether it's an hourly rate or whether it's a retainer. It's all set forth in the contract, including the engineers, the attorneys, the planners, all the professionals. And again, that is available through an open request if it wasn't available through the agenda. As to the ability to vote on the bills, I'm not saying all the bills have to be approved tonight, but the municipality does have certain obligations, and certain bills do have to be paid within a certain time period. So it would not be advisable to table the entire resolution based upon the fact that the documents aren't attached as referred to.
Okay, so do I have an opportunity to respond?
That's up to the mayor.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, specifically, in the main resolution, let's not go to the 17 specific items, let's go to the main resolution. Previously, the town had attached a list of bills so that we could, and I've seen them sometimes, so that we could at least see what was being paid. Second, I hear the lawyer stuff about what they said and should not be attached, but let me just go back on those 17 items. It's your document that was specified. It's not somebody asking for something not there. Specifically, the resolution said something was attached here too, and it wasn't. And I go back to my concern is, how does one citizen know that there's not a fraud or a mistake and a subsequent contract is altered or changed, So I have a concern about what exactly we're looking at. It's a standard concern you might have in real estate. That's why people attach exhibits and initial them beforehand. You don't want to have stuff done attached after a meeting. You know, who knows what the things are. There's several fee arrangements and there's nothing there. So I've got that concern on those items. I appreciate your comments. I would like to see a specific listing at some point of the bills. I don't see how you can vote on a block of $1 million worth of bills without telling the public what's involved. It's quite a bit of money.
Well, if
It's
I may.
under $1 million, maybe it's 800,000. My math's not good.
Yes, no, I understand your point. I
Right.
will tell you this, that I do come in and sign these purchase orders, and I make sure the documentation is attached. And you can ask anybody up here. If it's not attached, nothing gets signed or goes forward. I have questioned many of them and pulled many of them. Am I correct, Mr. Pinto, in that?
I'm sitting here shaking my head in the affirmative while you're speaking
And
there.
this is a valid point. There's 2 signatures on that. I think at one time, if I'm correct, it was supposed to be, there was 3. Right, Ms. Boniface, right? There's 2 right now that I, since I was elected last year, have been in almost every other day signing these and making sure. I have found errors. I will tell you that.
Okay.
Significant errors, and pulled those. So I understand you as the public wants to see that also, but you have the right, as our council said, the contracts for professionals can always be overed.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
Just a final
Yeah.
question. So what you're telling me at this point is, even though there were no contracts attached at the time of the resolution, which was, I believe, in January 2025, there are right now physical contracts, physical resolutions with physical documents attached to them?
Yes,
Okay, and when were the documents attached, if you remember?
prior to the meeting.
Okay,
I don't know, it may have been a week before the meeting, whenever the clerk put it together,
okay,
but they were provided prior to the resolution being adopted.
okay. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Hi there.
Hi, hello, hi. My name is Chris Nowell, Nowell, and I live in Fort Lee. I came about a year ago. I think it was about a year that I was last year. So at that time, it was strictly in my role as a co-founder of Bergen County Complete Streets. But recently, I became the assistant manager of bike and pedestrian programs at Easy Ride. And so it's kind of funny how things are coming together today, as a matter of fact. So I thought I would mention about completing Green Streets policy, which is what I came to you about a while back. That now, in an official capacity, I'm able to help if you wanted to move forward with something like that. And really, there's so many benefits that I just came up with in this meeting tonight that, it can help with stormwater mitigation and traffic calming to reduce the number of tickets that police have to issue, and curb extensions can help with accessibility. So there's money, there's money for that.
I'm looking at
Yeah. And also, so Mr. Pinto mentioned that you had the Safe Routes to School silver or gold. Actually now, at least going forward, you cannot have gold status without having the new Complete and Green Streets, the updated Completing Green Streets policy. So that's another thing to consider. But anyway, I'm not actually, I'm off the clock now, so I'm not here in that role right now, but I can definitely work with you. And, Michael and I were just in touch again today, so we can help, with arranging bike and walk to school days, which, who knows, it could lead to bike buses and walking buses, something like that. But, my coworkers, and my supervisors, they've been doing this for a while, so I can connect you, with professionals practically in this. I'm sure you know Lisa and Mike and everybody, yes. So, in addition, I also volunteer with Food and Water Watch, so I was very excited to see that you're taking up the Climate Superfund Act. You're voting on a resolution tonight. And so I wanted to mention that, just to, kind of make you feel a little more confident about your vote, that Leonia will be voting on it on Monday. And I'm working on Fort Lee. They're discussing it in the work session next week. I'm getting some Fort Lee High School students to come and encourage them. Tenafly and Hackensack, there are advocates who are kind of encouraging them. But we've got 10 municipalities in New Jersey so far who have passed resolutions in support of it. So we're really building momentum, like it's really seems to be happening. So, and actually I'd like to talk with one of you after the meeting, if possible, to get a quote that we could use in a press release to kind of really, if you vote yes, to kind of really kind of keep the positive, positive momentum going. So that would be for Food and Water Watch, yeah. Okay.
I will speak to you afterwards with council.
Okay.
I do have the school board president in here, Mr. Crowell, if you're talking about the school. He may be able to speak to you after this also, if he has a minute, about the biking and the walking stuff with the children
Sure.
at the school. But that's a school board issue, right?
Right.
So maybe you can work with them. We can all work together.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know Mr. Warren have brought it up too.
Yes.
But thank you for your comment.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Crowley, do you want to speak, Mr. Crowley? Come on up. Come. I know Matt wanted before, but. Hi.
Hi, folks. How you doing? Scott Crawl, 189 Wasolda Street. Tonight I come to you with hat on and hat off. Hat on for president of the school board. I did get permission from the board to be here tonight. So just a few things as far as that goes. From July of last year, from the end of the school year last year to where we are today at February for 25, our student population has increased by 46 students. Out of those 46 students, 29 go to Midland, 17 go to Hackensack High School. Out of the 29 at Midland, 11 of them have IEPs.
I'm sorry, 11? You said?
11. I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this. The 17 students at Hackensack High School, I believe, hold on, I just got to double check my numbers. I think it's $15,200 for tuition for Hackensack High School. So that alone is $258,400. I come here tonight with you just to keep this in mind in a matter of transparency regarding future development, because we're going to run out of room pretty soon, folks, and I really don't know where we can put these kids. And don't get me wrong, we're here to educate every kid that walks through our door, and we will. But just to give you the heads up that our numbers are growing in leaps and bounds, and so is the price tag. So that's what I want to bring up. As far as Mr. Pinto said, the chief, shared services meeting. Matt, if we can do that in the future, Mayor, if we can do that in the future, that would be great. I think getting together, saving the taxpayers some money is a great idea. Let's work together on that. I'd like to thank Dave Brown and his crew for everything they do with the snow. You guys helped us out big time. And a special thanks to Chief Pinto and the Rochelle Park Police Department. You guys were huge in getting that program out for us to tell we have, for some reason, the statewide service that we use was totally out throughout the entire state. So we couldn't get in touch with any parent. So, of course, we did the social media thing and, hey, go knock on your neighbor's door. And the chief was nice enough for us to use, and Mayor, you guys were nice enough for us to use your program, and I can't thank you enough for that. That truly helped a lot. Mike, as far as we go, we can get together. I'm pretty sure we still have a bike rack off of William Street that these kids can put their bikes. They can put their bikes, not a problem. Now, as a resident, I know you guys are talking about doing your stuff at Carlock, and I know it's not a question and answer period, but Matt can tell you, and we coached a lot down there. And with the fall sports, and these guys will tell you now, sun's down at 4:30, people. By the time everybody gets off work and you try to have soccer practice, baseball practice, football practice, just my recommendation is maybe look into some lights. I know there's controversy over it. The lights are new, they're LEDs, you're down in the pit, it's not gonna shine into somebody's bedroom window, and I get the people on Chestnut, I totally get it. But if they're aimed the right way, and with the amount of LED that comes out of these lights now, it's not like the old drum style. And you can light up half a field, easy with maybe 2 stanchions. So if you guys can keep that in mind, I know it's not a question and answer period, I get it. And then, the chief, like you said, with the scams, also know that, my wife's an accountant, so tax time, IRS does not call people, folks.
That's true.
They don't call you, they'll send it to you in the mail, so don't fall for that one. And the toll one, the toll one now is coming through everybody's cell phone.
Yeah, I got a text
Oh,
message.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of them out there.
And the last thing I have is, if you guys want to pass my house and salt my sidewalk, I'm all for it. Thank you.
Mr. Crowell, if I can address a couple of things. Years ago, we used to have I don't know if you were, I think you were on, the joint board meetings.
Yeah.
Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Yep. And then it kind of went awry.
It did.
That's kind of, we said.
We lost track of that
That was
quite a
the-
while
right?
ago,
That
probably at
was-
least 5 years now.
At least, right. And
Yeah.
I know Matt brought it up too. I don't have a problem with seeing that or going forward with the joint board, but that would be discussion among the township committee. And a lot of times, it was non-productive. I'm going to be nice about it. And there were times that it was productive, but as you can remember, there was a lot of, back and forth. And I don't have a problem doing that as long as we work together. And we're all here for the same thing.
That's it.
So,
You're here for the taxpayers and we're here for the kids, so.
now, do you know the number at this point of the enrollment in Midland School? Do
No, I don't.
you
I'm
know if it's
sorry.
like over
No,
500 and change?
yeah, I can find out for you. That's not a
Yeah.
problem, but I don't have it with me now.
I mean, that's quite an increase. What did you say to me? You said
It was a total of 46 kids
46
between July of '24 and as we talk today.
Well,
And 29 are at Midland. 29 are at Midland, 17 are at Hackensack High School. Because our district, as most people might not know, we cover Hackensack High School as well for our kids.
Right.
So our district goes to senior and high school.
And I also believe that we do contribute to the academies in the school. We do pay something toward the academies for the schools.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah.
and for anybody who doesn't understand on this panel, I know Matt would too, but IEPs can run anywhere, minimum that I have seen on my 15 years of the board was 80,000. It can go up to
Yeah.
180,000 very simply, and that's one child. So we understand, this
Yeah, it
is,
falls with the special needs program.
that's special needs, right?
But,
So-
I mean, out of the 29, 11 are IEPs. That's
that's
a
a lot.
lot.
Do you have any demographics for this yet?
Actually, we brought that up last night. We are gonna be conducting a demographic study.
Okay, maybe
Yep.
we can see if there's any possibility of, could be housing problem or something like that. Maybe you can present that to the administrator and we'll look at the demographics of it and say,
Sure.
hey, what's going on here?
If,
it
in
could
fact,
be-
specific, a list of addresses would be great.
Yeah.
And I know that demographic study is going to probably cost
Yeah.
about $20,000 alone,
Yeah,
right?
it's probably, if not a little more.
Yes.
Why don't you have that ready for the joint board meeting next month?
There you go.
Wait a minute, we have to vote on that. Can you stop for 5 seconds?
Get it done.
Anyway, this would be really helpful because, I know that's a large increase for money,
Yeah,
and that's a large
It's
increase.
big.
So, and, financially, we'll have to look at our tax
Yeah, we're
dollars.
trying to, we gotta
I know.
tighten down on our budget.
But, it's tight. The
Yeah.
school is tight as far as population of it, because I know you try to keep as many in-house as possible and
Right.
take up rooms, closets. I remember the
Yeah.
whole
It is.
thing to make classrooms.
And,
So-
we're running out of space.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
this
and-
is definitely something that,
You don't want to start busting at the seams because,
well,
with the increase that you have here,
yeah,
and then,
Yeah.
if we have to add on,
that's a lot of money.
that's a lot of money,
Right.
so.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Just to
Crowe.
keep in mind, I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Who's next? Anybody?
All right, I know I'll be staying in the 3 minutes. I don't have a lot. Linda Boniface, 33 Parkway. Dean, I believe there was a bond passed for Howard Ave for 1.9 million. So you shouldn't need to bond more unless you used it
I'll
elsewhere.
answer when you're done.
Yeah,
Yep.
figured that.
Do you remember when about that, Linda, about when? Do you
No.
remember?
You know what, I'm going through all my old paperwork, so I happen to come upon it.
If I
Waiting
may,
for
Mayor.
shred day.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's correct, and I brought that up at last meeting, that this portion of Howard from Patton to James Street, the milling and paving is already covered with that original bond.
With that one?
Correct.
That was supposed to do the whole job.
It is. It's going to complete the milling and paving and the rest of the job that's been done.
The other thing, with the budget, I know yous are in budget talks. For transparency, it would be nice to see the wish list meeting come back. And for anybody who doesn't know what the wish list meeting is, it's where every department comes before the township committee and the public and asks for different items. So that would be nice.
And that was in the past? that was
It
done?
stopped in 19.
In 19, okay.
Yes. The vouchers. I would bring the 3 signatures back. And the reason being is, not every council member can get off of work and come in here, and it happens when they're signed by 2, they disappear and get filed. You could ask for them, but then they're going back to the file. If you have 3, they'll stay a little while longer on the table. So that's a thing. Bring back the 3 signatures on the, and Teresa,
Yes.
I've got to admit, it's a pleasure to watch you run the meeting
Oh, thank you.
and not take direction for every single thing you do from the attorney. So I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anyone else, please? Hi, Diane.
Hi, Diane Verhassel, Forest Place. First, I'll start off with, which I brought up at others, we're still selling tickets. Thank you for announcing it for the spaghetti dinner. If there's anybody who hasn't bought them,
Okay.
who wants to buy tickets, make a donation, whatever, we would, scouts, I should say, would definitely appreciate it. One question I have is something which I'll give you the tickets as soon as I sit down. Thank you. Something that I brought up, oh God, I don't know how many months ago, when we put those, I don't know what they're officially called, those, I call them the vision pads, you know, the red, orange, whatever those things are at the corners of each, the things we had to put down before we do the paving.
Yeah, the ADA compliance
Right.
pads on sidewalks.
Right, those things. The gentleman at the time, when Boswell was the town engineer, was going to look into why they were never put on the corner of Forest Place. As you know, we have a person who would definitely need it, who lives on the corner. We never heard about what happened with that. And then, in addition to that, we were told, I know the weather's cold, not counting this week, if you have any idea, excuse me, when they're going to start paving Rochelle Ave. We were told that it might be this year, just curious when. Because
I'm sorry, Rochelle Ave?
Rochelle Ave, from Terrace to Passaic is just, it's becoming a hole. It's just giant ditches. And the other thing, I know if you look online, officially, both, and I know it was voted on, planning and zoning are gone. We are now the land use. I wanted to know when that will be starting, having meetings, and if you know what night. It's just for people that want to start going to the meetings. Because normally you would have a planning meeting tomorrow night. I don't know if you're having, you're not. So do you know when the other thing
So
will
right
start?
now, if I may answer that right now, for everybody, is that we're interviewing the applicants that come in. Mr. Twinski and I, we have more tomorrow that we'll be interviewing. It is a fair process to do so, right? And we're looking, right now, I have the right to set the first meeting. After that, then they, everybody else can decide. But I'm looking the third Thursday, it would be March 20th at 7 p.m. That's what I'm looking at. Don't hold me to it yet in case anything should change, but that's what I'm looking at.
It's not me who goes.
You had to wait the 20 days after, the acceptance of it, and that won't be till, the 4th. And then the old planning was the 4th
Yes.
Thursday. and it seemed there was a controversy of, holidays and so it brought it back up to the 3rd. The 2nd and 4th meeting is a town meeting, so there
They're
are people on the
Wednesdays.
township committee that are on that, and it would be back-to-back meetings, so it would be a little tenuous for that. So I'm looking at the 3rd Thursday. They can decide then. I mean, that's up to them to decide after that. But the probability at this point is March 20.
Okay, well, they'll go to that meeting and then find out after
Yeah,
that.
they can decide and vote on all that.
Okay, and I guess my other question being, do you know about the paving and the pads and, or whoever?
So there's been a significant delay in the paving, and obviously, we're still in February, so I don't even know if the asphalt mills are fully operational yet. And again, we've mentioned this at previous meetings. Thank you to Dave Brown and his team for discovering basically several storm drain issues of the county system that were flooding 2 of our residents' backyards, creating sinkholes, et cetera. As a result of his and Mike James's investigation, we were able to get together with the county team. Those repairs have been made. But it also led to the discovery of several more drainage issues on Rochelle Avenue that have to be addressed. And Dave, I don't know if there's a timetable given. If you think municipal government moves slow, county government moves even slower.
The paving won't happen until drainage.
I'm not looking for it to happen now. I was just curious if you have like a loose date, like spring, summer,
They're shooting for.
They shoot for late spring.
I would say most likely those storm drains will be addressed in March.
New Jersey.
Nobody knows what's in there.
And we're talking.
Linda, you're probably right. I know. I know. 7 years now.
Now, are we
More.
talking all of Rochelle Ave? Because I know at
No.
times you talk to stuff.
So there are several projects going on in Rochelle. And again, Mayor, if you're
Yes,
okay.
go, please.
Rochelle and Railroad is a completely separate project. That's going to go probably up to just before Oak Street. What we were hoping to do originally, you said, from Lots Lane to Passaic Street is just a repaving project. It has nothing to do with the potential expansion of Rochelle Avenue. What the county was hoping to do was rather just have that gap between Oak Street and Lots Lane basically go from pretty much by the Windsor Court Apartments through Passaic Street. But again, these drainage issues, and again, it's kudos to our DPW for basically discovering it, finding it, and pushing. And I have to thank.
No, I understand. I'm not
Yeah, so
expecting
that's
you
just
to
delayed it a
now.
little bit, but that milling and paving is scheduled for spring. Railroad Avenue, we're promised the same thing going out to bid.
I wasn't really
Now-
worried about Railroad
yeah.
Ave. I was,
Yep. I'm just trying to give you a time frame.
because some of the patches that they put in through time, I mean, they're gone. It's just.
And again, you can always call me or stop in the office.
I'm
I don't want you to have to wait 2 weeks to see me to get these answers.
No, I mean. It's
All right, perfect. Yep, all good.
Thank you.
All good.
Mayor? With that last comment, were the boards notified that they were going to be, any applicants that are on there is my concern. Is there any applicants that need to be notified still that they're terminated?
Not at this point.
What?
Not at this point.
There's a person that I think might be thinking of coming tomorrow for the planning meeting that isn't happening. You might want to check.
So can we put it on the website that there is no planning?
And I'll have Michael, you mean a resident or?
I wasn't the person at the meeting,
Okay.
but I heard
Yeah,
there
we're
was a
good.
person who at the time was told they didn't put something in the paper to notice, and now they have. So I don't know if they're expecting now to be there tomorrow. It was in our town, I know that. I think
I know the person you're talking about, and I said, no, those were dissolved. That was.
I understand that, I know
But the
that.
notification is out there.
But I'm saying the people that put the notice in the paper.
So I can tell you, our planning board secretary is Mike Giuliano. I know he's fielded numerous phone calls from applicants, and I hear him telling them at this point in time, I don't know when the next meeting will be, but he goes through the whole process. The our town, and we'll reach out. It may just be that they know our meeting dates traditionally have been, and they may have just published it. Actual public notices.
That was done, I believe that was done automatic.
It could be, yeah, an applicant may have been told of the date prior to the introduction and passing of the ordinance. Yep. I'll do what we can to get the message out.
Is this going to hold up anything as far as applications that are pending?
Not as substantial timeframe.
Okay.
Maybe a week or two. As per what Michael was telling me.
Okay, good.
The people that were gonna come into business.
So, okay, hold on, time out, everybody's talking too many, stop, everybody stop. So I just consulted with council. At this point, I believe you asked me a question, Mr. Otola, also. The council said at this point, there's nothing that can you explain what you just said?
The ordinance that was adopted doesn't take effect until March 4th. So that means the board still basically exists, but there really would be no purpose in them meeting, because if they, let's say someone appeared and started an application, by the time the next meeting occurred, it would be a different board. So it wouldn't be beneficial for anyone to present an application unless it was going to be completed in that same evening. So again, it still exists until March 4th. March 4th, the boards do not exist, the new board exists, and the recommendation would be for applicants to wait until the new board meets, which may be the third Thursday of the month.
I understand totally what you're saying. I just know from my husband who goes to the meetings that there was an applicant who.
Okay, thank you, thank you,
told,
Ms.
put it in the paper,
Thank
and
you.
they did. And if they don't not to be there, they're gonna expect to be there. 'Cause I don't think they live in town.
Can you notify?
I will make sure I'm recorded. I will absolutely follow up with Michael. I know Michaela and I were just having a side conversation. We're 99% sure he's already spoken to the applicant, but I will make it 100% sure tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay, we're good. Anybody else?
Hi, Barbara Graziano, Peak Street. Like this is my 40th time. When are we going to do something about the flooding on Peak Street?
I'm sorry.
When are we going to do something about the flooding on the corner of Peak Street? They put in the new handicap ramps. They destroyed my neighbor's shrubs doing that. And you can't cross. You can't cross if it rains. It's year after year. Michael? Is he still here?
I think this was addressed.
Well, Mr. McGinnis, when we had him here, and basically, that's the county road. It's the county intersection, Peak and Rochelle. Again, I don't pretend to be as much of an expert as Dave or Linda, or even Matt or Andrew when it comes to construction. My understanding is the pitch is what the pitch is, the way those two roads meet.
When I moved
So,
there.
well, we will make sure and ask, we jump up and down to ask that it's alleviated when they go to mill and paving. Because I think I've seen that there is an extra crown there from when they expanded it.
Well, if it rains really bad, it floods out to the middle of Rochelle Avenue. So, handicapped people can't use Peak Street? I've been doing this for years. I keep asking the same question.
So I will ask for your assistance.
And now they put in the new ramps a couple months ago. And you can't cross the street if it rains.
Is this the new ramp you're talking about?
The new ramps, yeah.
In preparation for the paving of Rochelle
If
Avenue.
they're gonna
We had to
pave
upgrade
Rochelle
several. Dave's shaking his head and little with different. So I will tell you, we will continue to push our engineer to push the county engineering department, who's ultimately responsible for that road. Our engineers were responsible for the curbing and the sidewalks, not for what's between the curbs. But we will continue to push that. The pitch gets changed to a way that puddles don't accrue as large as what you're saying. I promise you that.
Years?
Well, the road hasn't been paved in years, so.
What hasn't been?
Rochelle Avenue, other than some portions.
Well, Peak Street. Who did the ramps, the county or the town? The new ones, the new handicap ramps.
So the county puts the ramps in, we pay for the overseeing and the engineering of them. That's how it works with the county shared service agreement.
Because they really made a mess out of my neighbor's property. I shouldn't complain about my neighbor's property, but it looks awful. He had beautiful shrubs all the way around, and they just ripped big holes in them. It's horrible.
Who did that project?
Yeah, most of the time they're in sightline issues and they're too close to the street, so.
It doesn't change the sightline by ripping out the big holes.
No, but if the bushes are on the
Easement.
they're not supposed to be on the easement. So there's a 10-foot from the curb into the property is the easement. The bushes shouldn't be there at all. And
But you know what? The county put them in.
that I can't help you with. I
When
don't
they
know that.
widened Rochelle Avenue, they put that extra, they planted them there.
I don't have any.
Okay,
knowledge.
Mrs. Graziano, maybe you can talk to Peter and you guys can figure that out, but we gotta figure out what the pitch of that and
Yeah, well-
making sure that handicapped people do have.
Well, my neighbor didn't plant those shrubs,
Okay.
and it's awful. And year after year, nothing gets done with that flooding. But anyway.
Try our best.
Can we go back and see what's happening with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Dave and I will have a conversation. We'll continue to do so.
Hang on one second, I have to have other people speak before you can. One second.
You're usually only allowed to get up once.
One time.
At least temporarily.
Is it referring to your?
I have a follow-up question on the planning board. You indicated that the planning board would be abolished as of March, is that correct?
It is going to be abolished. They already adopted the ordinance. It's going to be
Okay, so
abolished as of March 4th.
I'm confused.
Not the planning board, it's the...
When I looked at the ordinance, it said that the zoning board was disbanded.
Right.
Not that the
And now the
planning.
new name is going to be the land use board. And
Okay,
it's,
so that means the planning board is the surviving board or not the surviving board?
no, it's a combination. It's
So-
it's the new name of the board is going to be called the land use board, and it's going to be reconstituted.
Okay, so is there a planning board or not?
Now, after this meeting, it's going to be a land use, on March 4th, it's going to be called the land use board.
Okay, I would suggest that you review, back to my topic of payments again, I would suggest that you review your payment ordinances in the township. Specifically, I would like to ask you how you plan to pay for your attorney, since the ordinances specify that there are, the salary ordinances specify a zoning board and a planning board. They don't specify a combined board. So
Okay.
how do you plan to do it? Is it abolished or not
The
abolished?
planning board appoints the attorney, and the fees are typically, almost all of them paid by the applicants.
Okay, I'm not
So-
asking that. I'm
Oh,
asking
I
how
thought
you're
you just
going to
asked
be
how they're
paid.
going to get paid.
How will the attorney for the planning board be paid? Specifically because your ordinance says that there's a planning board, and your contention is there's effectively no planning board, but there's a combined board.
The new ordinance says there's a land use board, and the land use board, by statute, doesn't have to be an ordinance. There's a state statute that says the board has the authority. You got to have me answer the question. If not, I'll just listen to you and I won't answer.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm giving you
So
time.
I'm just gonna, all right, hold on a second, okay, so the back and forth, we're timing this because you already came up and asked these questions, and I have to open it to other people.
Okay.
So you have 1 minute, please.
Okay, so my question is, how are you planning, should you not review I'll make a statement. I think you should review your salary ordinance. Your salary ordinance was based on what are two non-existent boards, the zoning board and the planning board. I'd have to question what the propriety of payment is under those circumstances when you've combined the boards.
I understand.
I mean, it's for your own protection.
The town
I'm not-
doesn't establish the salary for the planning board attorney, or the land use board, as it will now be called. The land use board doesn't adopt ordinances. The land use board will pass a resolution. Again, you keep cutting me off. I don't know if you want an answer or not. You're raising your hand as if you want me to stop speaking.
Let the attorney finish.
Okay.
Please go.
So the land use board, and whether it was the planning board or the zoning board, does not adopt ordinances. They pass a resolution that establishes the pay scale of the professionals that they appoint. It's not done by ordinance. So if there is an ordinance that had the salary, it was not binding on the planning board. The only authority that the mayor and council have over the boards is to appropriate the amount of money that they can spend on professionals. They can't say how much to spend, but they can say, we're giving you $10,000 or 15, whatever that number is, for you to spend on your professionals. They then adopt a resolution that authorizes the payment of their professionals, most, if not all of which is paid by escrow accounts, paid by the applicants who appear before the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody, I'm sorry, I have to let others. Is there anyone else in the public that wants to speak at this time? Okay, hearing or seeing none, may I have a motion to close public, please?
I'll make the motion.
Have a second? Okay. Roll call?
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
And Mayor Judge Covello?
Yes. Okay, so let's move on to the ordinance introduction. This is the outdoor ordinance, outdoor dining ordinance that was tabled at the last meeting. So maybe, please read it.
Mayor Judge Covello asks for a motion to untable ordinance number 1219-25 by way of resolution number 025-072, an ordinance to establish a procedure and authorize rules and regulations thereunder for the licensing of outdoor cafes in the Township of Rochelle Park. To open for discussion.
Just prior to voting on this, Mayor, there were two comments. The recommendations of the construction official were all incorporated into the ordinance. He then wrote an explanation, because one of the comments that I had made was it being too restrictive. And his comment was that based upon the way your outdoor dining exists in your community, that it would not be too restrictive because most, if not all of them, are in the parking lots and are not impacted by your front yard setback. So if you're in agreement with that, we just have to delete that comment, and then it goes to another page that requires, let me see, it's here. There's a setback requirement from the sidewalk that would have to be removed because the setback would be based upon your zoning ordinance, which is what the construction official is recommending. So if everybody's in agreement with that, the ordinance would be introduced with those revisions I just mentioned.
Any objections to that?
So that's taking down all of the tents that they have in front?
Yeah. This was discussed at the last meeting.
That was his, well, I'm
sorry,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say they can have it as long as they comply with your setback requirements, which I would imagine are too restricted to do it. It was my concern. So the comment from the construction official is that they put the tents in their parking lot.
In the spaces, so they took up the spaces and it was
Which is a
too
problem.
far out on the property to, too many spaces were taken up, so. Anyone else? Okay. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici? Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
And Mayor Judge Covello.
Yes. All right, so let's move on to the ordinance, 1219-25. Michaela, would you please read that?
Yes. Mayor Judge Covello asks for a motion to introduce by title on the first reading ordinance number 1219-25 by way of resolution number 025-072, an ordinance to establish a procedure and authorize rules and regulations thereunder for the licensing of outdoor cafes in the Township of Rochelle Park. To open for discussion.
Any discussion on this? This is what our council was just speaking about, the changes that will be in this now, correct?
Yes.
So now all these changes, did everybody get a chance to look at all the changes that were made? Okay, great. Any discussion? No? Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici? Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
And Mayor Judge Covello.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the ordinance 1220-25. And this is an ordinance to amend Chapter 102 entitled Fire Prevention of the Township Code of Rochelle Park. And would you please read it? Thank you.
Mayor Judge Covello asks for a motion to introduce by title on the first reading ordinance number 1220-25 by way of resolution number 025-076, an ordinance to amend Chapter 102 entitled Fire Prevention of the Township Code of the Township of Rochelle Park, State of New Jersey, and it be published in full in the Bergen Record with notice of public hearing to be held on March 12, 2025.
May I have a motion on it?
Motion.
I'll second.
And may I have a roll call, please?
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
And Mayor Judge Covello.
Thank you. So, introduction of ordinance number 1221-25. This is an ordinance establishing access to all advisory board. Would you please read it, Ms. Kelly?
Mayor Judge Covello asks for a motion to introduce by title on the first reading ordinance number 1221-25 by way of resolution number 025-077, an ordinance establishing access to all advisory board, and it be published in full in the Bergen Record with notice of public hearing to be held on March 12, 2025.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
And You got that?
Mhm.
All right, may I have a roll call, please?
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
And Mayor Judge Covello.
Yes. All right, the ordinance number 1222-25. This is an ordinance to authorize general capital bond issue for the pump station reconstruction. Would you read it, please? Okay.
Mayor Judge Covello asks for a motion to introduce by title on the first reading ordinance number 1222-25 by way of resolution number 025-088, an ordinance to authorize general capital bond issuance for pump station reconstruction and it be published in full in the Bergen Record with notice of public hearing to be held on March 26, 2025.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
No?
Mhm.
Okay, roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
And Mayor Judge Covello.
Thank you. Okay, so this is ordinance number 1223-25. This ordinance is amending the code of the Township of Rochelle Park respecting the display of flags on the township flagpoles. Would you read it, Ms. McHale?
Mayor Judge Covello asks for a motion to introduce by title on the first reading ordinance number 1223-25 by way of resolution number 025-089, an ordinance amending the code of the Township of Rochelle Park respecting the display of flags on the township flagpoles, and it be published in full in the Bergen Record with notice of public hearing to be held on March 12, 2025.
Great, may I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
Yeah.
I'll second it. May I have a roll call, please?
Committeewoman Apici?
I have questions about this one. Just have, I have questions about this before I vote. Just reading what you had put in here, the description, the answer, but the discrimination. I know we vote on it, but that opens us up to Township Committee to now being sued if we say no to somebody.
Counsel?
Well, again, anybody can file a lawsuit, but the Supreme Court has said, and as Deputy Mayor Miller has mentioned, that you are considered, it's your free speech. So the council can choose what flags they wish to fly or not. It's your expression. So, for example, you may agree with no smoking in public places and want to post a flag for that. You may agree that you should be allowed to smoke. Whatever position you take, no one can then sue you because you took that position. Just like nobody can sue you for any decision you make up here on any matter of governance. So I understand your concern, and you cannot deny someone for discriminatory reasons. So if someone came up with that was a protected group, and the reason for your denial, and you stated it on the record, well, we're not flying that flag because I hate your ethnic background, yeah, then you could probably get sued for that. But based upon just making a decision on what flags should or should not fly, again, the Supreme Court has addressed the issue and they said you have the right to do that.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody else have any questions? No? Okay, may I have a roll call, please?
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
No.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
And Mayor Judge Covello.
Yes. Thank you. Just introducing the ordinance. Okay. All right, all items listed below are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the Township Committee and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on any of these items unless a committee member or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda as part of general orders. All right, so we have resolutions going from 025-078 to 025-079. And may I have a motion to move this?
No, let's go to 9.
Wait, you said 078 to 079.
Yeah, 090.
Sorry, 090. So that would be, let me start again. It's 078 to 090.
Correct.
Now, there will be a 091 for closed session after this, but that would have to be voted separately because we already have one before.
I don't have the...
090.
Got it, okay.
Great, okay.
So because I voted no on 89, I'm taking that one out. That one's not listed here.
Yes, because it's part of the ordinance.
Right, but if it's consent, so you're not, it's just, so it's
There is
zero.
no 8-9 on this. consent,
Right, but you're saying through 9-0, so it's 078 to
Okay, so
087
let's
plus
do this
9-0.
individually then. 078, 079, 080, 081, 082, 083, 084, 085, 086, 087, 090.
Correct.
Good?
Yes.
Is that good for you?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's take a roll call, please.
You need a motion.
Just a point of privilege. I have an objection on the record. It's unwithdrawn. I'd like to continue that you with
Sir,
separately
I'm sorry,
consider
sir, but
081.
you're not allowed to just come up at any point of the meeting. There's only one section of the meeting that's open to public comment, unless the mayor wants to allow other people to come up.
That's fine.
But then, let me just finish, please.
Go ahead.
But then there has to be a roll call of the committee up here to reopen the meeting to the public to allow you to come up and speak again.
I just wanted to be clear. I asked you whether or not I can object to that when I did. Now to rule that you're going to ignore me, I object. It's a violation of my civil rights. I said I objected to 081. My objection remains. The language says that can be discovered separately.
So noted.
I don't mean to offend anybody, but I just wanted to make clear I'm not waiving objections.
But thank you very much for your comment.
Okay.
Okay, may we start this again? Can I have a roll call when I just?
I'll make the motion.
So I'll make the motion.
I'm sorry, the motion?
Yes, I am making the
May I
motion.
have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
And Mayor Judge Covello?
Yes. Okay, so now we're going to do resolution 025-091. This is to go into closed session again for litigation. May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'm sorry, can I take it?
I'll make a motion.
Matt, Ms.
I'll second.
Jen, second. Okay, may I have a roll call, please?
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Committeeman Truinsky?
Yes.
And Mayor Judge Covello?
How long do you think it'll be?
So thank you. We'll approximately be in about 25, 30 minutes. I don't think that at this point there will be any action taken into this.
Other than the meeting will reopen for the purposes of adjourning the meeting. So the only action that will be taken would be
Adjourn it.
and at which time, if you're still here, you'll be invited back into the meeting room for that part of the meeting.
So if I may say, the next meeting is the work session on March 12th, 2025. Thank you. Have a great day.
Mayor, real quick,
Yes.
if I may.
Is there more?
Just one
Please
real
go
quick.
ahead.
I just want to give a shout out and a big thank you to Michaela Jenikin for stepping up this past week.
Congratulations.
Has not been easy, and she stepped up and fulfilled a role that, with, obviously, as we see, in seamless manner. So I just wanted to get that on the
Sure did.
record.
Thank you, Michaela. Thank you. Appreciate everything you've done because it was a very quick turnaround there, but we look forward to working with you more in the future. Have a great night. Thank you.
If you want.
Jen? Motion to come back into public, closed session and come back into public. To adjourn.
I will make that motion.
Do I have a second? I'll have a roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici? Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller? Yes. Committeeman Truinsky? And Mayor Judge Covello?
Thank you. All good night. Great work, Michaela. I feel like Matt now.